The first thing I noticed was my father's jaw locking in place. Not anger yet. Calculation failing. We were standing outside the bursar's office, sunlight slicing through the glass like a blade. He had marched me there to make a point, to humiliate me, to prove one last time that I owed him obedience. He asked the clerk for my balance, loud enough for the line to hear. He wanted the number. He wanted leverage. The clerk smiled and said my account was paid in full. I watched my father's face fold in on itself. Months earlier, the humiliation had started with a uniform. I worked evenings at a grocery store. Not because I wanted spending money, because I needed it. Tuition was rising. My parents' promises were shrinking. When my mother found out, she stared at me like I'd brought home a disease. "This is embarrassing," she said. "People talk," my father added. "Quit." They said it wasn't about control. It was about image, about dignity, about the family name. I quit that night. I folded the uniform and put it in a drawer like evidence. 2 weeks later, my sister announced her Europe trip. Paris, Rome, Barcelona. She laughed while scrolling through photos of balconies and wine glasses. My parents beamed, proud, generous. I found the withdrawal notice by accident, a printed statement left on the counter. My college fund. Zeroed out, reclassified as family expenses. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I memorized the numbers. I used to believe love explained everything, that my parents were strict because they cared, that sacrifices were temporary, that if I kept my head down, they'd see me. That belief died quietly. The signs were small at first. Missed payments, vague answers, a new car in the driveway. My sister's laughter echoing down the hallway like a taunt. I asked once carefully about tuition. My father waved me off. "Figure it out," he said, like an adult. So I did. I called my grandparents. I didn't beg. I explained. I laid out the facts like a case file. They listened in silence. My grandmother asked one question. "Did they take your money?" I said yes. 2 days later, my tuition was paid. No conditions, no speeches. Just a receipt emailed to me with a note. "Focus, we've got you." That was the moment my grief hardened into strategy. I stopped arguing at home. I stopped asking for help. I smiled. I nodded. I let my parents believe I was scrambling, that I was scared, that I needed them. Meanwhile, I documented everything. Statements, messages, dates. I met with financial aid. I learned policies. I learned my rights. I learned how universities handle third-party payments. I learned how public embarrassment works. The plan wasn't revenge. It was alignment. I waited. The day my father decided to confront me on campus, he was confident. He wore his good jacket. He brought my mother. He wanted an audience. He wanted to remind me who paid for my life. We stood in line. He talked loudly about responsibility, about sacrifices, about how some children don't appreciate what they're given. Then the clerk said my balance was 0. My father laughed, a sharp, disbelieving sound. He told her to check again. She did, same answer. He demanded an explanation. "Third-party payment," she said. "Your parents?" he asked, already smiling. "No," she replied. "Your grandparents." The silence that followed was surgical. My mother's face drained. My father's voice rose. He demanded to know how, why, when. He accused the clerk of lying. He accused me of manipulation. He accused everyone except himself. People stared. Phones came out. A security guard stepped closer. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't interrupt. I let him unravel. When he finally turned to me, eyes wild, I met his gaze. "You said to figure it out," I said. I did. He tried to argue, tried to reclaim control, tried to remind me of everything he'd done for me. I waited until he finished. "You spent my college fund," I said. "You told me to quit my job. You paid for her trip." I nodded toward my sister's photos on his phone, still open from earlier. "This is the result," I added. He shouted. He demanded explanations. He threatened consequences that no longer existed. Campus security asked him to lower his voice. He refused. They asked him to leave. My mother cried. Not for me, for the scene, for the loss of control. As they escorted my father out, he looked back at me like I'd committed a crime. I hadn't. I had complied. Later, alone, I sat on the steps and felt something unfamiliar settle in my chest. Not joy, not anger. Relief. They stopped calling after that. When they did, it was different. Softer. Cautious. The power dynamic had shifted, and they felt it. My sister never apologized. She didn't have to. She was a symptom, not the disease. I finished the semester. I kept my head down. I worked again. This time by choice. I don't think about revenge anymore. I think about clarity. About how quiet strength outlasts loud control. About how the most satisfying justice doesn't shout. It lets the truth speak in public. And walks away,